Wow, there is a lot to talk about and not a lot of time to cover it, so I guess just to keep it brief, this game came from my Twitch, which A, this is still pretty much the best place to get games from me from, and B, I got my old partnered account back in that I wasn't really using it before because it didn't really match my name or whatever, but they let me do the old swap-a-rooney with my old account name and my new account name, so I'm using my partnered account again, which is lovely, so make sure you stop on by, it's a good time, and it's a good time. I feel the need to mention that twice because it actually is. So another rule that we have going on the stream, or at least I do, and everybody seems to love it, is if I'm getting a team ready and I'm logging online looking for you, and a passerby immediately says, "Hey, I see you walking around the festival plaza, let's play," and challenges, and if I have a team, I gotta play them. I don't care what they have. Sometimes it ends up being a good game, sometimes it ends up being a bad game, sometimes it ends up being a hilarious game, sometimes it's a combination of all three. I don't really necessarily remember this one, but if I screen recorded it like 2 days ago, you know, it's a not bad out of 10, and I feel like, you know, doing all the editing process just to pretty it up for YouTube again. So this one will get against passerby Kevin with no E, spelled with an O, which is a little interesting. Kevon, if you will. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. Kevon. I don't know. Anyway, it is Kevon right now because I noticed that he has no electric type switch-ins. But at the same time, I also don't know if he's lead Scarf Hydreigon is the one thing I was scared of. So, you know, if I end up just taking a Draco right there, that definitely would have sucked. So I decided to go out into my Cobalion, which I hadn't used Cobalion, I think, like at all last generation. And I think this is a Stealth Rock Volt switching one. This is kind of a, I don't know, I think it's a naive one. So I get my rocks up, which is nice. It doesn't really end up helping out too much in the long run. But here's where I actually learned that he's not choiced, which is just very, very, very unfortunate. I'm not sure what item he ended up being, but I don't think he ended up showing Life Orb or anything like that. Nope, no Life Orb, so it's like, great, you know what? Well, he doesn't have the stopping power. He's also not going to outspeed Mini or in Shields. That shields, the ability's name is Shields Down, but my shields are up, which gets a little confusing there, because now my shields are down when he hits me with Flash Cannon. I knew he was probably going to have something to at least bring me down to at least half, or he was just going to switch out. I was planning on Shell Smashing anyway, but the fact that he puts me there is excellent, and I'm quickly realizing that this was probably a mistake to do this early in the game, especially because he still has a Golisopod in the back. And my Golisopod personally doesn't run Aqua Jet, it runs Sucker Punch, but thinking about it, I should probably run Aqua Jet because it's Stab. I feel like that would be a little bit more secure, you know, just running Water and Bug. But whatever the case, I'm able to get rid of the Hydreigon, which is nice. It means there's one less, you know, actual electric resist on the field, which means that Specs Raikou you guys saw earlier is going to be putting in a decent amount of work later, especially because he does have a Toxapex and a Golisopod, meaning that if those happen to be some of the last things, I'm just going to be able to fly right through them. And no ground type means I don't really have to play these games as often, but I get a really good amount of damage off on the Toxapex before I'm actually gonna end up losing it, so it's okay. You know, I got rid of a Hydreigon, which it was almost a 2-for-1 trade. I'm not sure if that was a damage roll that necessarily would have been responsible for knocking out Toxapex. I don't think it actually varies that high, but I mean, it did all right. So the one really cool thing that I brought to this game that I haven't actually used ever, I've made it, and I've really wanted to use it, but I hadn't really gotten the opportunity to, building up to it, is a physical Greninja. And I did not know that they actually got Waterfall. I think I was running something else. I must have been running, I think I was running Night Slash and Power Up Punch for sure. And then I don't remember what I was running if I was running Waterfall, but I am running dual stabs, so to speak, before that. But in the end, it doesn't really matter what you run with Protean Greninja, so I guess I could have just been running something else more potent. But I'm running Power Up Punch as well, which is, you know, it helps with Mega Absol because it really only takes 2 to knock out Mega Absol in the first place because it's so fragile. That, and you resist Sucker Punch when you're either going for Power Up Punch or when you're going for Night Slash. But excuse me, I'm not going to go for Night Slash on it. I'm just going to keep going for Power Up Punch. So, I mean, I might as well. I'm behind a sub. If he went for Sucker Punch right there, I realistically don't know how much it would have done. But I'm here boosting, and I'm just using it as setup fodder. And, you know, you tend to run into the Greninjas mostly that are just special, and then they got the Hydro Pump, and they got the Dark Pulse and the Ice Beam and the Gunk Shot or whatever. Not that that's special. But, you know, anytime I think of Greninja, I think, hey, let's switch in a Fairy, and then boom, you get Gunk Shot, and then that's pretty much the game. But I decided, you know what, I'm going to do something a little bit different. You're like, hey, you know what, there's no life orb on this. There's no lefties, there's no nothing. And he's going to go for his Z move on this turn. I'm actually going to end up going for my Z move next turn. But I would like to touch on this fact right here, this thing that I'm looking at, this Z Splash Mimikyu. I don't like Z Splash at all. If it didn't get Swords Dance, or if it didn't get Swords Dance, I could kind of see the merit behind it, but +2 Life Orb is still... I don't even want to say subjectively better. It actually is just straight up better to SD and then just, you know, go for that damage, because then you get a Z move for later and you get a setup move for later in case you don't get the opportunity to, you know, just do your +3 in that one go. On top of that, he actually doesn't even end up using it from behind the sub. He saw I had sub, so I don't know what's going through his head. I guess he just really wanted to use Z Splash to show me what was up. But now I got my spooky scary Z move in that I'm going to use Black Hole Eclipse, which I actually ended up going the entire game without using or seeing, now that I think about it, because I ended up beating the dark type Kahuna? Leader equivalent. I completely flew through that game, so I'm unsure of it. Trial Captain, if you will. I think he might have been the Kahuna for the island. I don't remember. But point being, I got through his team before he was actually able to show off his Z move, so I was just like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to go for it. And it looks really cool, which is super awesome. But because I ended up going for a dark type move, and by the way, I guess having the same type as your a type of Z move is really nice, which is why I think Greninja with a Z move is Protein Greninja with your Z move is pretty cool. But I'm not sure if that actually ends up applying there. If you get your... No, you know what? I didn't actually see that happen. So maybe if you go for the move before that and then you go for your Z move, if you go for Night Slash like I did there, that would have worked out. You know what didn't work out though? Me not expecting to take that much from first impression and then from Aqua Jet. It is Life Orb Golisopod a thing? Like what happened there? I had a Gengar and now it's gone, so that actually really sucks. But I mean, I guess it's all right. I'm not sure what I was expecting him to do. I knew he couldn't go for first impression. I think that's what ended up happening there. He could have gone for Aqua Jet. He could have gone for Sucker Punch. But either way, I was still Water Dark since I just switched in, so I would have ended up resisting both of them. Going for a Power-Up Punch, and then thanks to knocking him, you know, below half HP for sure, or him hitting me first and then knocking himself below half HP, I was pretty safe in going for a power-up punch there. But in hindsight, probably should have saved my Z move for this thing, because this thing is still alive and Night Slash just isn't really doing the job there. I get +1 and I'm able to do a decent amount. Maybe I should have gone for another power-up punch and just maybe gone for a crit next turn. Maybe things would have played out a little bit differently. But these things are a little bit hard to bust with anything that isn't a Specs Raikou, and you know, I still have the Specs Raikou, so I'm totally fine at this point. I'm just kind of fucking around with this thing to see how much I can do with it. But he's going to go for Scald, hit my sub. At this point, I think I can just go for a +1 Night Slash on the Toxapex to see how much it's going to do. As long as this thing is at less than full, and I think he still has this Golisopod, and oh, you know what? He's got another thing left too. I don't even remember what it is. All I remember is that just my Greninja ends up dying on this turn, unfortunately, because I can't take a Scald, and Night Slash just isn't really doing that much. But, you know, did I use the Z move prematurely on Mimikyu? Yeah, I think I did. I thought he was going to go for, like, Shadow Sneak or whatever, and then just, you know, try to do some damage. And I had also fought a red card SD1 in the game before, so I was just kind of geared up differently in terms of how I was going to match up against it. But you know what? I'm here right now with Raikou, and that's the important part. So I'm actually going to go ahead and Volt Switch, predicting him to go into Kartana. What I did not expect about Kartana, despite the fact that it has hideously low special defense and a resistance, is the fact that I was going to one-shot it after Rocks. I'm not sure if he's just got, you know, a poorly IV'd Kartana or a bad-natured Kartana, but he has competitive Pokemon, so I would venture to say that he's not running, you know, a special defense lowering nature or anything like that. And that Volt Switch from a Choice Specs Raikou just really does that much, so that's fine by me too. I don't agree with this exact sequence of plays here, but I guess it kind of works out for him in the end, because Golisopod takes 25%, Emergency Exit activates, and then he goes back into Toxapex. So the reason I guess I'm not really a fan of that is because he took extra Rocks damage and he's Life Orb. B, he could have just gone to this thing in the first place, and then as soon as this thing died, he could have just brought in Golisopod and had 25% more. That way, Emergency Exit wouldn't have necessarily forced itself. I'm not worried about Toxapex going for either Scald and getting the burn or Toxic, because this isn't aromatherapy. I was almost going to say Aromatisse. No, you have the leg, you have the two legs. You have the two legs that are like sticky outy doing the thingy, you know. But you're not Aromatisse. You're Serena. That's the name of it. I had a coworker named Serena. I'm not sure where that came from. He was switching out into Raikou and going back out into, or no, switching out Serena, going back out into Raikou, and I can just lock myself in on T-Bolt from here if I really wanted to. Do I decide to do that? I believe I do, because I hate Toxapex. I hate the fact that, despite the fact that I hit it with Minior, with an Earthquake, almost killed it, didn't quite do the job. And the fact that I ended up trying to... What did I end up doing there? So, I ended up hitting it with Minior, almost killed it, didn't quite kill it. Hit it with Greninja a little bit, thanks to Regenerator and Recover, still didn't kill it. Hit it with Specs Raikou from full, still didn't kill it. So, what are these things made of? Like, why are we not making planes out of this shit? This is ridiculous. If you hit a plane on the side of a mountain, it would bounce off and head back in the air in the exact opposite direction that it hit, because that was absolutely stupid. That it took an Earthquake, and it took that many Night Slashes, and it even took a Thunderbolt, and it tried to recover, or no, I think it Toxic, so whatever, that's fine. But right here, you know, I am locked in on T-Bolt, but I decided to BM right here. I've BM'd on stream before. I figure, you know what, he's not watching. Or if he was, that kind of sucks. But honestly, the odds of a passerby watching my exact stream is pretty low. So I have Queenly Majesty on this thing. We all already know what that does just based on the trailers and stuff. So him having First Impression means that is not going to work. And then him having Aqua Jet, and I don't think he ended up revealing Sucker Punch, but that also does not work either. Nothing priority works on Serena. So I think the only move he ended, I think he had, or he must have had Leech Life or Liquidation. I'm not 100%, but I'm just gonna go for a Drop Kick after he tries to go for another priority move, and that's gonna clean up the game. I guess my main purpose for this was really just wanting to show off that Greninja set, and Cobalion is. I don't have opinions on Cobalion. Gengar's good, just didn't do that well. And Serena was kind of cool. And Specs Raikou, we already know what Specs Raikou does. Mainly just the highlight was the Greninja. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's a little bit of a, actually kind of an average length video for me. I don't know why I said shorter one. I guess it's the flow of the game just went pretty fast. If you did enjoy it, you can leave a like, rating, comment, subscribe, do your thing. Social media in the description as well. And I think that should do it out of me. I'll see you guys on the next one.